in with, we're going to kick your butt physically. So you better start electing younger people who didn't have the chance to screw everything up, who are going to be the ones that have to fix everything. No, I know some people are saying, Rod, are you advocating violence among our world leaders? Well, yeah, because it's better than actually sending a bunch of tanks and people into war to kill each other. Why not just have a boxing match? Well, isn't Mayweather? Was it Mayweather? I don't know who's fighting Romney. I forget. Somebody's going to be boxing. I don't get that. By the way, Romney was never a boxer, right? But hey, this guy, he's an older guy. He's stepping in the ring. Now, this is what we should probably do with world leaders. You know what? You think you're such a badass, Mr. Raul Castro. Stepping in the ring. How about we backhand you a couple of times? Knock you out, put you out of your misery. And then we can, do the same with your brother. And then we can, free the people of Cuba. They don't have to worry about you. I know. That's probably going to get me a knock on my door by people in dark suits and dark sunglasses. But hey, look, I'm saying that we need to have a president that's a kick-ass kind of guy who can go out there and kick some butt himself, physically. And look, he should come back. Maybe he'll get a black eye. I don't know. I mean, think about it. Can you imagine if Rubio's that guy? Now, I'm not endorsing anyone, but let's just imagine here. Rubio, he starts training in MMA, mixed martial arts, or Krav Maga, or some other brutal martial art that toughens the body and the mind and the spirit while training the body at the same time. And by the time he gets elected president, he's like whatever the black belt is of that particular martial art. But it's something that he could pick up fast and practice, and he practices and practices, and in between every speech he's practicing. He's doing the P90X, the CrossFit, everything. He's in optimal shape. He gets in the White House. First of all, if you're talking Rubio, now a lot of ladies think that Marco Rubio is a good-looking guy. And if he packed on some muscle, and if he looked good in a short sleeve shirt, or I don't think we have presidents that like to run around without any shirt. But let's just say that he took off his shirt because there's pictures of him working out. If this guy had a body that had a 6-pack and an 8-pack and some pecs and all that kind of stuff, and he was in shape, and he knew martial arts, and he was a president, he'd have it made. And if he went around the world and just started kicking the tail out of these stupid international leaders, and if he went up to the United Nations and started beating some UN butt firsthand, we might forgive that if he comes back with a black eye or two or a broken nose, because he'd be beating some heads. Now, could you imagine if you had to? Now, there's a leader that you can reach. Now, sure, of course, you're going to have the liberals out there saying, violence is not the answer. Well, all these other people all these other leaders are using violence against their own people. And they sure as hell would love to use violence against the United States, and they would if they did not fear our military. That's why people do not, other than terrorists, countries don't try to attack our interests, because they're afraid of our military response. And those people who are not afraid of our military response usually seem to come from countries that either that could be our military equal or superior, and so therefore they have no need to be afraid of us. China, for instance, 1.3 billion people, world's largest air force. Yeah, sure. You may shoot down 5 of our jets for every one of yours, but, we're sending 6 jets at a time. So one of them's going to get through. 1 out of 6 is going to get through. That's all we need. Just 1 out of 6. But it would be a different world as far as politics are concerned if our leaders actually started bruising it up in a ring. It would definitely be a different kind of world if that were the case. But anyway, just a dream. Just dreaming out loud. U.S. approves ferry service between Cuba and Florida. Now, passenger ferries could be set to run between Florida and Cuba for the first time in more than 50 years after the U.S. government approved new services. So, does that mean that Elian Gonzalez's relatives don't have to risk their lives anymore? They can just... Is Raul Castro going to allow everyday Cubans to get on the ferry and come to the U.S. of A? When they get here and, wet to what is that called? The dry land asylum thing. If they can get to the shore, out of the water on their own, then they can get asylum. But if we stop them in the water, then they go back. That's kind of dumb, actually. But okay. But Washington announced the restoration of diplomatic ties in December last year. Now, the U.S. government has now lifted the ban, and a number of ferry companies say they have been given licenses. Now, just if you got 90 miles away, I mean, it's just the ferry ride is going to be just a few hours long. Well, I don't think I don't think there are ferry ships that can do like 50 or 60, the equivalent of 50 or 60 miles an hour on the open water. But so it'll be a few hours, maybe 3 or 4 hour ferry trip. But will they allow those people in Cuba to come to the United States? I'm saying no. That it's really going to be a one-way type of deal. It's going to be, Americans. It's going to be non-Cubans who get to ride this ferry. Because I don't think that real, expatriated Cubans will be willing to go back to Cuba if they feel that Raul Castro will come after them if they step foot onto Cuban shores. And I'm sure that's probably what he's thinking about, what he's hoping will happen. Liberals have gone off the deep end now. This was talked about yesterday. I didn't have time to really bring it up and go into depth, and unfortunately, we're running out of time today. But I'm still going to bring it up anyway. Parents reading to their kids. Parents reading to parents. Listen to what I'm saying. Parents and grandparents reading to their kids and grandkids have been blasted as unfair. Unfair. A leftist professor makes astonishing claim. And don't think that this isn't going to start spreading around now. Yeah, this is from WND.com, and when I heard it, I'm like, this really can't. Even a liberal really can't believe this. But yeah, this is what these people are. Now, does reading to your children somehow give them an unfair advantage over less fortunate children? Now, less fortunate children in this particular case is parents who don't read or can't read to them. That's less fortunate. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You're less. If you have a kid who isn't read to at night, it's less fortunate. Now, this may get you to start reading to your child or grandchild. But a British philosopher is making the claim, and it's causing ripple waves across the globe. I can't even believe we're giving this guy credence, but because he's a lefty, and that other lefties will take this to heart and start trying to implement policy to make things more fair. Now, it raises the question, should parents snuggling up for one last story before lights out be even a little concerned about the advantages they might be conferring. Why would you be concerned about inferring some sort of advantage to your child if you're reading to them? They like you to read to them. You like reading to them. And if it gives them advantage later, later on in their academic career, so be it. Every parent wants their kid to have, have an advantage. Now, I don't think parents reading their children bedtime stories should constantly have in their minds the way that they are unfairly disadvantaging other people's children, but I think they should have that thought occasionally. Said British academic Adam Swift. So let me get this straight. While you're reading to little Johnny and Susie, you're supposed to think on occasion that you're giving little Johnny and little Susie an unfair advantage over Kevin and Stacy down the street whose mom and dad don't read to them. Really? Who is going to think, where do they come up with these people? Where do these people actually come from? They must come from outer space, literally. They've got, I'm sorry, somebody around is putting something in the water, or they're brainwashing these people, and they're in some underground cave somewhere, and then releasing them, upon the rest of us at some point. Because this is absolutely some of the most inane idiocy I have ever heard of. Now it's going to be bad if you are giving your child an unfair advantage simply by reading to them bedtime stories. Because you care about your child, and the person and the parent down the street, maybe they can't read them bedtime stories because they have a third grade education and they never learned how to read. So they can't read to their kid, bedtime stories. So we're supposed to say, oh, that's just terrible, that's sad, that's awful, that's mean, that's cruel, that's unfair. It's unfair that you can read, and it's unfair that the other kids can't read. I mean, who comes up with this stuff? Well, look, folks, this is for real. They like to really get out there and try to mess with people's minds. And evidence shows that the difference between those who get bedtime stories and those who don't, the difference in their life chances is bigger than the difference between those who get elite private schooling and those who don't. So in other words, if you're reading to your kid at night a bedtime story, you're giving them an even greater advantage than if you send them to an elite private school. And that's just unfair. That's unfair to little Johnny and Kevin and Stacy, who can't be read to at night. Look, folks, I'm not making this stuff up. I sometimes I really wish I was, but you can't make this. These people are just totally nutso wacko. Look, they just need to be defeated, and liberalism needs to be shuffled off to the annals of history, never to return or seen the light a day again. Well, I'm Rod Eccles, folks, and I am out of time for tonight, but we'll be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Again, I'm Rod Eccles. I'm out.